Baldy mentioned to me, and I didn't recognize this when I was watching film, and I don't remember a lot of teams doing this when I played, but he mentioned that more times than not, you're on the right side in the safety position. Is that accurate to say? And if so, most teams will switch and you'll be on both sides of the field. If so, why is that the case with you guys?
Kareem and I, it's honestly something that we discussed. We went into the first season we played together. We went into it saying, like, we're going to play strong and free. And we're just going to, flip-flop. As camp and OTAs went on, we kind of like playing just left and right. Asked the quarterbacks what they thought about that, if that like helped our disguise at all. If we weren't moving around with the strong and the weak side of the defense, if we were just left and right safeties, got some feedback from that. And we just kind of stuck with it. We were both smart enough to be able to handle that and to be able to adjust with motions within our defense. And so it's honestly just something that we just fell in love and felt accustomed to.
It's a pitch, and it comes to Beckham. A foot race with Simmons, who reads it well. Odell Beckham Jr. is thrown back for a 5-yard loss.
This is basically a cover one weak side rotation. So 3-by-1 set is to the defense's right.
Expand on this idea of disguise, Justin, because often when we think of disguise, and people probably at home think of disguise, they're thinking of safeties holding their position until the last second, and then all of a sudden they run to the position. Talk to me about the communication also between linebackers, because what I'm looking at in this play, you're holding your position. I see the linebacker boss over to the strong side. I know you're going to drop down. How much of this communication do you have to work with in terms of communicating with your linebackers? Okay, hold the backside linebacker spot until this time, then we can rotate together, and so we hold that disguise.
That's a great question. It's all about cohesiveness in the back end. The linebackers are evenly spaced. And you'll see AJ showing, this looks like a zone look to a quarterback. And then as the down gets going, he gets into his cadence, and we pick up on cadence cues. You see he's starting to shift over. You see myself starting to play off AJ a little bit, because at this point, there's that open side, backside B gap. And that quarterback knows that either myself or that linebacker has to fit that open side B gap. There's really no one else that's going to be able to hit that run play. At pre-snap, he thinks he has it here to be able to beat us backside, or at least for OBJ to get up to the second level, thinking that I'm the second level threat instead of a first level threat, playing that B gap backside.
So what I noticed here was linebacker bounced over to that hash sooner than he dropped down. So if I've got a run play coming to the weak side here, as soon as I feel that linebacker move over, I'm going to rush my cadence to try to snap this before Justin gets down. By the same token, let's say I have a pass concept. I got a slant coming there where Justin is and something else coming out to the flat. Once I see AJ move over, once again, I'll try to snap this quickly because I know Justin has to cover down by the line of scrimmage. I want to make him move as much as possible after the snap so he can't be sitting there to react to what we're doing. So I'm trying to catch them. Oftentimes, somebody give me a tell. Oh, the linebacker gave me a tell. Great, I know what I got backside here. And that's why disguise is so important. If one guy drops down and shows it a little early, I can take advantage of the second guy because I know exactly where he's got to play. And that becomes that cat and mouse, Justin, of how soon is one of your guys going to give me the tell, and then I can counter it? Or if you guys can mesh this thing together, man, now I have to play catch up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I said it's the cohesiveness of the defensive unit working, in harmony. The nickel not showing too much leverage one way or the other. Linebackers not automatically lining up in their gap. Working with the safeties, trying to show that too high shell. Yeah, it's a lot of fun trying to figure all that out.
You have this unbelievable ability to not get blocked. There's a wide receiver coming in trying to crack you. And so this guy's responsibility is to get you out of there, and they can't get you out of that spot. How aware are you by what their responsibility is and how to beat that right there?
As the play's unfolding, I see that the tight end is in the hip position, so there's the potential that he can come back and crack our outside linebacker who is unblocked. So with knowing that, I know the outside linebacker's run fit is to fit inside and to come under that tight end's block so that I can fit outside of him. Reading that hip alignment of that tight end coming back, I see that our outside linebacker Malik is physically taking on this block and making sure that this running back can't go inside, forcing him to jump cut outside, knowing that that's my gap. You want to play off correlation of where the football is, and knowing that this run is designed to come back where this tight end is plunging, we just kind of eat up all those gaps, and I happen to be the extra player off the edge that is unblocked.
Here is against the Patriots, like N'Keal Harry here on the outside is responsible for you, and you just won't let him get there.
Typically, when this C gap is wide open as it looks, after he hikes the ball, a lot of the times as a defender, I'm thinking pass first because it almost looks too good to be true. My first thought is 47 and 15 are the only two that are going to probably come up to block me. Once I recognize that the fullback 47 is dashing away, the two things that I'm thinking of are boot or 15 is coming to block me. Quickly read on my man tight end. He's blocking out our outside linebackers, just holding the edge. So it gives me the confidence to be able to shoot this gap, and the run play's just dead in the water. And it's all just in a matter of milliseconds of picking up on your run pass keys.
You can see like these guys are frustrated as heck because they can't get you, and you're killing the play. One more example of this, and Keenan Allen actually has pretty good position on you.
You can see pre-snap right now that I'm responsible for that B gap.
Yep.
And coming down on this weak side B gap, I knew one of two things. If Keenan Allen's coming to block me, I'm going to have to put him in the gap. Just mess up the whole, I have this gap, you have this gap, and just dirty it up. Because if I get washed here by this receiver, the corner has so much space to work with, and it makes that tackle for him 10 times as hard. And then you can see backside, Josie has that C gap, AJ has this A gap that he's trying to hold because the running back still has the option of hitting both the A and the C. And it's just a matter of just muddying up the play so the running back doesn't have a clear picture of where he wants to go.
Like this play, to stay in your back pedal as long as you did, and then to be able to make this break, it shows a lot of your range right here, being able to get to center field to make this play. I don't know if you've ever played corner, Justin, but you sure back pedal like a corner in a lot of these plays down the field like this.
We are in a two safety look here, so I don't have to necessarily worry about running up and getting into that gap. But if you look down there, you can see in the beginning of the play how wide open that gap looks. It looks very similar to almost like that Patriots play, minus this fullback sitting in that gap if he were to plunge across the formation. So that's a point of getting your run pass key looks, and that's the battle within the battle of trying to make sure you have the keys throughout the game. Once I get a good pass read here, we get a really good jam, down low from our corner. My responsibility here is I'm just playing half field. I don't need to worry about this route by Julio because that's trying to bite my attention so that my eyes aren't focused on this post. We're playing quarters on the front side. Kareem's not responsible for taking away the post. Every corner in a cover four knows that they're responsible for the post. And so knowing that potentially we're in quarters the other side, could be getting a post, I'm just working on depth. I'm just trying to get as much depth as possible. I'm playing half of the field. I need to be the deepest of the deep. I see the big windup from Matt Ryan. My eyes immediately go to looking on the opposite side of the field. And the first few yards, I'm not even looking at the football. I'm looking at my angle of the receiver and seeing where he's adjusting to go get it. Then I'll go up and look for the football. It was just a play I was able to make and kind of go look for the football high point at that point.
Justin, we've talked a lot about a cover two shell, but then from that, you actually play cover two quite a bit. And so just take us through your eyes on this cover two.
Once again, working off what the formation is presenting me. This formation pre-snap, we see this a lot because of the presence that Vaughn brings to a rush. This is basically a three-man route. It's a protection look, even though it's empty. Their running back at the top of the screen is chipping our outside linebacker, and Smith, he's chipping Vaughn at the bottom to buy time for Mariota to throw deeper route. So off knowing that pre-snap, I know in my half, I got to get some depth. And I also know that on my side is a speed receiver. That's the guy that's running this post. So I need to make sure I'm extra deep because he could outrun my depth if I'm not deep enough. I checked my number one to make sure he's not getting a wide release to the sideline to where, there's that honey hole shot between a squat corner. Once I see that he's working inside of my squat corner, I'm able to just focus on this post. And because of the pressure, Mariota's not able to really step into this thing and throw an accurate ball down the field. And I'm able to close on the post and kind of jump in front of the ball last second and get an interception.
Teach us a little of this cover two technique on the top. A cover two look, you got a deep half of the field, and you got these two guys coming vertical at you.
With these two receivers, I'm just thinking of scissors, which is two receivers crossing, one running a post, one running a 7 route. And I'm thinking of just natural all-out fade. And then I'm also just thinking of some type of just post that's going to be truly threatening. This route concept I call a dagger, which is essentially a fade, and then you see the outside receiver running a dig. I'm not necessarily too worried about the 7 route because as a squat corner, we want the ball to be thrown to the tight end that's sitting pretty much where the line of scrimmage is right now. We'll come up as a team, make that tackle before he gets to the first down. So I know my squat corner is going to be doing a good job getting depth and width and holding that 7 route for me, as you see Chris doing here. Once I see the receiver starting to break down, I realize now that it's pretty much just one-on-one with me and the second receiver in the slot. And he starts committing to this post because he has to get into his route to free up this dig that's coming back inside. I'm on top of it. I have enough depth that I'm breaking back downhill. Like I said, Mariota was pressured. We did a good job with our rush, and I was able to make a play.
Yeah, Mariota avoids the sack, but then throws a bad pass there, and Justin Simmons does a great job playing center field.
Justin, you guys will play zero coverage from anywhere on the field, out of your two deep shell. It's one of those things where unless you're studying Denver every week, that you're seeing how much stuff you do. You're responsible for Kelsey here, and I'm just curious, why would you not cheat up a little bit more as you get later in the count, knowing that you're blitzing this play and you don't really want to give them any room at all? Just your thinking here on the zero.
Actually, I specifically remember talking about this in film. A little too deep here, trying to do a little bit too much disguise-wise. For the most part, you would never think that there's any chance that this would be a zero. Just my alignment alone being so high. The other factor here, too, is I know Tyreek Hill is at 3. And I know I'm responsible for my man, but I'm just thinking in terms of how quick this whole thing could go down. Ultimately, it's supposed to be a dead play if we execute the blitz the correct way because we have more, than they have blocking. We have 2 guys that bail out of the blitz who are supposed to be a part of the blitz, and it makes the ball come out a little bit faster.
So that's next level thinking right there, Justin, is right. I think anybody sitting at home is going to go, oh, it's man coverage, or as we're talking about blitz zero, meaning you guys are straight up man, there's no safety back there. Go cover your man. I mean, that's what most people are going to think. Well, you're already thinking to yourself, okay, I know I got Travis Kelce, which is a tough cover anyways, but the bigger play that the Chiefs love to hit is that deep over with Tyreek Hill because he's got blazing speed. So you're actually paying attention to both men, even though you specifically have Travis Kelce on this play.
The fact of the matter is if I did, show down a little bit early, just imagine, if I'm not there, all that room that he does have to work with. And especially if, you're just talking about that quick over, maybe even a quick slant, and he can easily run away from any type of coverage that you have on him. And so it was important pre-snap to make sure I'm aware of, where those 2 are at. And he was at 3. I have to be a little bit conscious of knowing I got my work cut out for me too, but I just got to make sure this guy doesn't run through our defense.
And ultimately, isn't that your thinking on blitz zero too, Justin? I know I've got no help. I don't want to get beat for a touchdown. I want to force the quarterback to get out of his hands and go make a tackle. Isn't that the mentality of a blitz zero?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Kind of speed up the process, not sitting back there comfortable trying to just read. But yeah, that's the last thing you want to cover zeros to get beat for a touchdown. So you always want to keep everything in front of you and just tackle it.
Tua quickly over the middle.
We know that you have Gesicki right here, man-to-man. Just take me through your eyes and the process of your eyes and what you're looking at throughout this play.
So before the play even starts, I'm just looking at formation. I know it's empty. Obviously, it's going to be a passing down. And I'm looking at Gesicki looking inside. And I see Parker's over there in the slot. And so I'm just thinking, could easily get slants here, but I could also just get a sit here. I bite down on this, and if he feels good about his protection, Parker sails over the top of our linebacker, and that's a hard cover for our nickel because he's running away. I'm peeking at Parker, see that he's already kind of kicking down his route, running this little slant. Like I said, Mike's turning around looking for the ball, and as I'm looking at Tua, he's already on his back foot, and so at this point, I'm just committing. And once I commit, I'm not even trying to go for the tackle here because I feel like I'm in a pretty good closing distance and space. I'm trying to go for the ball. You know, Tua puts it a little bit too far inside, and I almost get it.
There's nothing better than a 1-minute explanation, Baldy, for something that happens in 2.5 seconds.
Yeah.
That's what I love. Is he saw all this information. Oh, guys, don't forget, that was 2.5 seconds worth of time in real time. I mean, it's incredible the amount of information athletes like yourself can see and take in and process in such a short period of time.
The first thing that I'm thinking about when I'm in the red zone is my coverage responsibility. And then I want to look at the formation that's being presented to me and figuring out where my help is. So looking at it pre-snap, you can kind of see the linebackers are shifted over. It's very obvious, you know, for the most part that I have this number 3. Obviously, I know I need to have outside leverage here because most of my help's to the inside. And I already know pre-snap that the running back is to our left. So I know that if he does run a route, I'm not losing Josie, who's the closest to me. I'm losing Todd. It's not really a big deal for me and my coverage. So my toes are already on the goal line. Once I realize that he is running a deeper route, I just kind of like gracefully let him take me into the route. So I'm just hold my outside leverage, knowing that I have help from my linebacker if the ball was going to be thrown on the front line, because we know that front line throws are low and back line throws are high. So I don't need to worry about being pressed to beat him in front. And then also when this route declares, I know I'm going to pick up help from my middle of the field safety. And now I want to make sure that I'm getting somewhat to where I can get a hand in that throwing lane. Once that window clears, I don't want a rifle to go right into his catching radius. I was able to fight back into the front of the play, but secure the tackle with my right arm and knock it down with my left arm.
For whatever reason, I was curious how you did at the combine coming out of Boston College. And I saw that you had a 40-inch vertical. And I thought, sometimes we look at these measurables and sometimes they mean something and sometimes they don't. But I think when you get in the red zone and you're dealing with tight ends specifically or tall receivers, like when you're 6'2" to begin with and change, having a 40-inch vertical comes in handy.
Denver with a 5-man rush, steps in the pocket, throws the ball to the end zone, intercepted by Justin Simmons in the end zone.
Right here is just time and distance, and I knew we were going to get a chance to try and make a play because it's Fitzpatrick. Like, he lives and dies off of making, you know, the big play happen. My attention this whole time is to this bunch because Devontae Parker's at the number 1 position in this bunch, and I know that he's their go-to guy. I'm just trying my best to show over the ex-receiver who happens to be Grant. Once again, I know we're in the red zone. My time is limited. So that's why as soon as the ball snap, I don't hang there for a second to try and give more to disguise. As soon as the ball snap, I start shuffling. I see the tight end commit outside, and then I know I'm getting an inside breaking route. The corner did a great job. Bryce did a great job trusting that I would be there for him because that's the guy that we were doubling.
Simmons was on the other side of the hash, but on the snap of the ball, he came back towards the middle of the field, and he just followed Fitzpatrick's eyes.
Oh, my gosh. It felt, hey, like when I threw it, I saw him out of the corner of my eye. But you were like...
But it felt so good.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be bang.
Bro, but you probably thought it was going to be contested. That's like, you know what I'm saying?
I thought he was going to go like this. It was going to go right through his hands. I was hoping.
I'm looking at this as a quarterback, and I'm like salivating here. Like, there's drool coming down because I'm like, there is no way that backside safety, who's almost out to the backside numbers, can take away a skinny post on the other side. How do you have the confidence to stay there until the snap and believe you can get all the way back over to that other hash that quickly?
I don't want to sound cliche here, but it's practice. I've gotten beat, a couple of times in practice, even in games, where I think I'm in good position to make a play and quarterback will zip it in the window.
Justin, this is Ed Reed like. This is stuff that Ed did, to get 65 interceptions in his career.
Peyton Manning, I'll guarantee you, knew where Ed Reed was, and it had to fool him that he got all the way there.
That's kind of what it reminds me of right there. This play against Mahomes, even Mahomes is like, you know what, this interception is so awesome. I don't even care about throwing the interception. Like, Mahomes is bragging to all the guys in your defense about how you made this play.
That was a nice-ass pick. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was like, damn, I can maybe just throw it low and no one can catch it, but maybe Tyreek. My boy 3-1 came out of nowhere. I was like, God, I couldn't even be mad. I was like, that was a nice-ass pick.
What takes you from the middle of the field to where Mahomes doing Mahomes things, where you now go, oh, I know where he's going? Like, what did you see? What did you know?
So we're in a too-high safety type of defense here, and we're pretty much like just trying to bracket all the threats that they have. So they put Sammy Watkins at 3 here. Our linebacker, Todd, is pretty much solely responsible for covering him. And you can see I'm sitting a little flat-footed because Todd knows that I'm only going to be able to really help him if the route is upfield or if it's to the sideline. You can see Todd's doing a great job holding his inside leverage because that's where they want to go with the football. This play actually came up, and in my head, I'm just thinking of when the Chiefs played the Niners, and it wasn't this season, I think it was the season prior. Vic had a breakdown the night before of scramble tape, and we just watched a little bit of scramble tape. And one on the scramble tape was the play of the Niners, and he did this exact movement. He backed up, and he started rolling to his left, and then he speed turns out and comes right. So he does that left thing and comes right. And he did this exact same play and threw it in the back of the end zone.
Wait.
And as soon as I saw that, I immediately thought of the Niners. So in my head, I didn't even care what was on the other side of the field. I immediately looked over to my left and was looking for a threat. Saw Tyreek Hill was in the back, and I just bursted towards the front of the pylon because I knew he was going to be working back towards his quarterback. And Mahomes is a guy that doesn't just let plays not happen. I mean, he's going to make a play out of nothing. And so I'm just bursting all the while thinking in my head, like, this is the Niners play. This is the Niners play. This is the Niners play. And I'm just bursting over to that pylon knowing that he's going to be throwing in that general vicinity of the area. And I happen to make the play.